Again, my name is Elena Vrabi, and I'm the country lead in Romania at the Recursive, for those of you who are new to the impact stage. As a short overview of what's next, we'll dive into a debate about tech and culture, followed by a talk about AI innovation, and then leaders of digital transformation. Get ready for another block filled with inspiration from the humans behind the tech. First coming up, it's a panel, The Salesman and the Banker by Cluj-born siblings debate. They're gonna talk about tech, culture, and who's right. First, we have Thomas, who leads the European business at Pricefx, the global leader in AI-powered enterprise pricing software. With over 20 years of experience in enterprise software, Thomas has held leadership roles across pre-sales, post-sales, and sales at top companies like Accenture, SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, and ServiceNow. Next, we have Andreas, who brings over 20 years of expertise in advising, backing, and building technological businesses across Europe. An active investor and board member, Andreas is deeply involved in a portfolio of early and growth stage ventures, guiding them towards success. Please join me in welcoming Thomas and Andreas for an interesting debate with a vibe of corporate versus startups. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
The boxing gloves are coming out. So Tom, let's get right into it.
Let's go.
You started selling cigarettes. Now you're selling software. Is it just a lateral move from one addiction to another?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you might know or not know that these two industries are pretty much the only industries who call their customers consumers. So there is a parallelity, I believe. But in fact, it was a coincidence. It wasn't planned. I was indeed working at Philip Morris in sales, and then I realized I want to have something with a bit more just intellectual reward. And then I went into consulting, had my first kind of IT experience, going through a 6-week SAP bootcamp at Accenture, and then that kind of started my entire career journey through various corporates. So it was more of a coincidence and not a planned step from the start. The planning came much, much later. And you were counting you were counting cash, and now you are counting shares in startups. So how did that go?
So how did that go? I started in 2000 in the Web 1.0 bubble, when all the ships came in with all the money and threw it at everything that was moving. And pretty quickly after that, they all went out of the harbor and disappeared, not to be seen for many, many years again. And so, ICQ was the messenger of the day. Today, it's being shut down. Interesting little point. But anyway, so I started off, and the tech thing went really bad for me because I started the company and it basically went bankrupt. And so my refuge was banking, and I went to London, but I felt something was still there in this tech world, and I decided I'm going to look after tech companies as a banker, and to keep me close to the ecosystem. And so that's what I did. At the time, it was called media and tech. It wasn't just tech as such. It was a lot of media, and so that's what I did. And then in 2013, 14, I took up my entrepreneurial hat again. Again, failed. It was also partly here in Romania, and so I went back to banking again. And that's how but still in tech. So that's how my journey went in and out of being an operator into a banker, back to an operator, back to a banker, and that's where I'm today.
Pretty interesting. Next time, keep it a bit shorter, please. Cool. So, you obviously, well, we both are, from Transylvania. We were born in Cluj. I was 4 years old when, in '82, parents left and we followed, and you were 9 years old. So that background, has that been your secret weapon or more your Achilles heel?
So the secret weapon part is, yes, there is a secret weapon. It's the multiculturalism that I took from here. So I grew up with 3 languages, Romanian, Hungarian, German, and I took that with me and I expanded it with French and English, and that really kind of gave me a way of being home pretty much all around Europe, and that's my secret weapon. My Achilles heel, or the Achilles heel in some ways, was making itself felt, not so much actively, maybe more passively, and as in the back of my mind, when I moved to London, I thought, this is the most meritocratic place in Europe, where my background doesn't count so much, where I don't have to have, networks locally, this and that, because I can just grow myself there. And so maybe I consider my background a little bit of an Achilles heel in that sense. And so I tried to kind of get around that by going to the city that does not require any of that. And how was that for you?
Yeah, I was back in Germany when I started my first job, and this was like 2001. And I must say, back those days, I believe there is a reason that I started and worked mostly for US companies. And also there is a reason I kind of landed in tech because of that. I think tech has always been more welcoming, and also US companies been more accepting diversity versus the good old Deutschland AG, where it was clearly more difficult to get in with weird names and things. Now, thankfully, a lot has changed in the last 20 plus years, but that was really the case, I would believe, back those times.
Mm-hmm. So you've navigated the tech jungles of the US and Western and Eastern Europe, and you must be feeling a bit like Marco Polo or something. What's the biggest dragon you've slayed?
Yeah, I mean, I've been leading, kind of cross-European teams, if you want, most of my time, and then mostly reporting into people sitting in the US. So yes, indeed, I bridged these cultures, or I had to, and it's pretty interesting to see how the kind of very sometimes obscure over-positivism, if you go to the West Coast, where everything is amazing, and it's amazing, 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 and then it's still amazing, turns into the more east you go, and especially when you go to Eastern Europe, where I would say things are more realistic to pessimistic, things are a bit more like shit, and what the heck is this, and maybe it's okay, right? So that's the maximum positivism you would get over here in most cases. Even in Germany, there is this sentence of, not sure how many Germans are here, but nicht geschimpft ist gelobt, meaning if you are kind of not yelled at, that means it's good. And I think that has some interesting implications on how things are approached by people and how they generally look at anything, whether it's change, whether it's building something, whether it's starting a company, all of these things, I think, come together to that mindset topic. Besides, obviously, all the macroeconomic topics of what kind of market do you serve and all the other things you are all aware of.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think one thing that I've taken away, and it's something that people already have said maybe, but it's the value of failure. Like, freaking failure here is like really bad. And in Germany and in France and all over the place, like you can't show your face, It's although that's changing a bit, but that has been, from the get-go, it has been a positive thing in the US and the West Coast and those places, and also the UK partly, where people are not afraid to fail, people are not afraid to start again, and be it financial backers or spiritual backers, see failure as an opportunity to grow rather than to kind of retreat and cower. So that's the one thing that I perceive as a big difference, and it's changing today, but it's a difficult and slow change, I think. The other thing, as a banker, I see that quite a lot, is the value of equity participation in startups, especially, how that's being looked at and how that's being valued. Like, think about yourself, right? If you have the chance to get options, or you get some sort of employee equity share schemes or something, how much do you value that? How much do you believe in your company? Do you think it's going to be life-changing for you or not? And in the US, that's much more prevalent. People go there, to make a shit ton of money, and they believe that actually is going to make them a life-changing kind of event when they exit. And that's not something that's so prevalent here. People don't think about that as much. Although you have a perfect example here in Romania with UiPath, which has minted, tens of millionaires. So, I'm not sure if that has made an impact in the local scene. I'm not so close. Maybe I will find out while I'm here. But that would be a perfect example to look at and to take inspiration from.
Yeah, I agree. I think not just equity, by the way. I would even go all the way to just wages. It's pretty interesting to see how different US companies in the tech space how much they are willing to pay versus, let's say, German companies, or of course even more so in Eastern companies. So there's a pretty big difference, and the willingness to pay above market for talent is just the norm in the US, not so much over in Europe, I believe. Yeah. And the kind of more personal anecdote, if I may share, is my biggest challenge, like literally if I work across Europe, is pretty much whenever I need to work with English people. So you live there, so I have all my respect that you are surviving there. It's literally every time I have to deal with the Brits. The Brits. As fast as I can, I try to find a leader who is able to translate to me what's going on. Because I come off calls sometimes, and I would say my English is fairly okay. I hope you do understand me. But I come off a call and I don't know whether they stabbed me in their back or they've just been very polite. Literally, it's like that. So for me, like, Brits are the most difficult to do business with.
So you have problems dealing with politeness. Yeah. There it goes.
Pretty much.
Anyway, so how does, talking about dragons, we said that, how have they shaped your career? Was it kind of a hero's quest or kind of failing forward?
I missed the first part.
How has the dragon shaped your career? Was it more of a hero's quest, or was it kind of failing forward?
Yeah.
In terms of your path?
Yeah, look, obviously I was fortunate to be like with the right companies at the right point in time, and that, and once you start to have one big brand in your CV, then it's easier to get to the second big brand in your CV. Once you have two great brands in your CV, it's very easy to get to the third brand, and it just builds on it. So I literally believe that was a kind of fortunate point in time. And then on top of that, we had a huge tailwind coming through the cloud business, and then hopping on the cloud native companies at the right point in time supported that journey as well.
You found a trick and you stuck with it.
Say it again?
You found a trick and you stuck with it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then eventually, and all these companies you all are aware of are huge. They are huge corporates nowadays. Yeah. When I started there, not so much so. So they just grew and were very successful. And well, that's one of the reasons I then started to go more into smaller companies to just have more influence and more kind of leave or try to leave fingerprints, footmarks, whatever. And that still is what drives me.
Yeah, for me it was. For me, I found out, the dragon taught me that I'm a real bad manager and I'm a real bad founder. I suck at both. I tried it 2 times and it didn't work. And I think it's down to personality. We talked about it before, like as a founder, it's helpful to have kind of, and I'm not saying it in any pejorative way, but it's almost helpful to have like an autistic worldview, to have this tunnel view. I'm here and I need to get there and nothing's going to distract me. I'm moving ahead. So I'm more of the ADHD type where there's lights everywhere and amazing. So you get distracted and I can't, going every week and checking a progress of a project is the nightmare, stuff of nightmares for me. It's, I used to work with very small, very cracked teams and that just never works in real life. Yeah. So that's why I stuck to banking.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So maybe switching gears a bit, where do you see tech going? What's your view on the kind of future of tech, which is a big question, but maybe in your kind of scope, what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, let's keep it big. I mean, it's as we grew up, I think we had this kind of view that tech is a positive thing, right? It's a tech optimist world where software is eating everything, software is eating the world, and you just have to digitize everything, and everything is going to be amazing. And that is today different. I think we all are much more aware of the kind of negatives and dangers and downsides. Whether that's AI in warfare, whether that's Nigel Farage winning in Britain, whether that's Trump coming, through TikTok to the US, who the hell knows? But it's basically those are the things that keep me up at night in terms of the negatives, and I think that's something that we have to manage very carefully. And humanity is not so good at managing these things; they go extremes, So we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I'm not a guru in tech, but I think I have a good opinion, loosely held, on enterprise tech. And what's pretty obvious is a couple of things. One is you need to link your software solution in the enterprise world to very clearly defined, measured business value. If you are not able to show that your piece of software is creating this impact in terms of business value with a strong ROI connected, you have no chance to land in big enterprises. That's one thing. And you have to prove it, not just through business cases outside in on Excel spreadsheets, but properly measured. And show that it's not the processes and the people, but it's your piece of software making the difference. By the way, that's one of the reasons I'm with Pricefx, because I believe that there we have this. The second thing you see across the board is what I call consumeration of the enterprise app world. The more young people come from the TikTok age and other very easy to use software, consumer software places, and join the company and the enterprise, and all of a sudden they are facing a very complex spreadsheet, or they are facing a software solution which needs a week of training. That's not accepted anymore. People want to have a piece of software in their hands they can use, and it's self-explaining. So UX, UI design, hugely, hugely important in the enterprise space. I can tell you from our company, we are 4 or 5-fold short in UX, UI designers to get to where we want to be. So it will take us much longer than we actually want to. Third one is certainly time to value. How long does it take to implement your piece of software? Now, if you have a point solution, that's usually not such a big problem because it's fairly easy to implement. But if you have a more complex software piece and it takes 6 months, 9 months to implement, that's where you have to focus on. And then the third one is certainly enterprise companies are looking for maybe 10 strategic platforms in their company. And they are looking to consolidate all of those. And you have an ERP solution, which is SAP. You might have a CRM solution from Salesforce. You might have an HR solution from Workday. You might have one or two industry-specific solutions. And then you have to find your sweet spot, what else is needed in that company. And my hypothesis is like around 10-ish, that's where it stops. So that's the trend I see in the large 1 billion plus revenue enterprise space.
Yeah, I don't agree with the thing where you say the kids are lazy, but but anyway. Before we open up, just quickly, because we obviously have to share our wisdom on crypto and AI, so so crypto and AI, future of finance or glorified pyramid scheme?
Yeah, same answer. I have no idea what AI does. What I can tell you in the enterprise space, you see that we have existing use cases once you start injecting, obviously, AI solutions into your end-to-end platform or solution. And those use cases certainly add value. Now, how high that value is, how big the impact of that is, and what might happen outside of that enterprise software world, I don't know. I'm just a go-to-market guy. So back to you on that. What's your view?
So I think crypto is a good store of value for third world countries where the currency fluctuates even more than the Bitcoin. There it's good. The rest, I just ask, how many aircraft carriers does Bitcoin have? And I think everybody knows the answer. And until that changes, I think the US dollar will keep its dominance, despite all the rubbish that's being talked about in terms of losing out. AI, next big leap for humanity or beginning of Skynet?
Yeah, I mean, I think I gave you my bit. I'm
Okay.
not an AI expert.
All right, let's open it up for the audience. Any questions? Yes.
Hi, my name is Gabriel. I'm from ARC Research and Development, and I do have a question on your last affirmation. You said how many air carriers does Bitcoin have, but can the U.S. use them if the guys that use crypto hack them?
Well, that just depends on on your crypto defense. That's not you just have to have better antivirus than the other one.
Now, being serious, how do you think that crypto affected, for example, I don't know, Romania?
Romania.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the middle because I personally feel Romania is somewhere in the middle between obviously Western Europe with all the like fully developed mature economies and Romania. And I think if you look at the lei and look at how good a store of value was lei, putting aside the benefits of blockchain and ease of use and so on, and that obviously has a lot of value to shorten and facilitate financial transactions. But that's not crypto per se. That's just the blockchain technology, which is positive. But as a store of value, think about whether the lei would have been better than Bitcoin, and at what stages you would have gone in and out. And I think there is your answer, because Romania has done quite well in kind of adhering and acceding to the European world, so to speak. So I think it didn't make a bigger difference, actually, I think, for Romania. But for somebody like El Salvador or Argentina or, Afghanistan, yeah, there it has a real value.
Okay, I think we should have another question and then let's call it. Someone else?
If you have a question, please raise your hand so I can come with a mic. No.
Well, our time.
Well, you will find us outside.
Yeah.
And tonight at the bars and receptions and whatever we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas and Andreas.